all's quiet at the Victoria Hindu Temple tonight, but that certainly will not be the case this weekend when the Festival of India takes over. We'll give you a preview next. Dance, music, fashion, henna, food, palmistry, and arts and crafts. Look, even the poster looks interesting. That's the Festival of India coming up this weekend. It's music and art, food and entertainment.
Kala, what are you serving?
The Cultural and Arts Festival of India has all these things. But that's not what's most important, most valuable to the hard-working volunteers who host this spectacular event.
One of the things that happens as people from India settle in another country is this worry about the loss of culture for the second and third generation and so on. So we are fortunate here in Victoria that we are able to keep the cultural aspect alive.
It's really important because I think that everybody's looking today for where do they belong and what is their identity. And in Canada we have this multiculturalism, which is a tension. We are Canadian, and I feel very strongly about that. And yet there's such a richness that we all can benefit from with all this various cultures.
Dance is a big part of what festival goers will see during the three-day event, running from Friday through Sunday at the Victoria Hindu Temple in Sanishton, and we were lucky enough to get a preview.
It's so old that we don't even really know how old it is, but it comes from the Bharatanatyam, which is the old temple classical dances, and it really means the temple flower. So it is really the opening of the flower, and the artist is opening, so it begins with the eyes and the face and the upper body, and then the rest of the body, and it's just like a flower. So the dancer is an offering.
It's one of the few times you get to showcase dancing. Otherwise, there's other festivals, but only a couple during the year, and it's a good sort of showcase of everything that India and South India and Sri Lanka have to offer.
Classic dances are lovely and are well loved by the performers, but there's nothing like a little bit of Bollywood to spice things up.
Well, actually, it's kind of like a competition between the two. They're like the best dancers, I think, of India. And it's a competition between them in the movie. It's a really famous movie as well. And the song is really famous as well.
Kala here is wearing a very grand dupatta.
Dance is only one element of the event, which has a little something for everybody.
Culture of India is quite varied. It's got different aspects to it, such as dance, music, art, handicrafts, food.
It is vegetarian though, but everybody loves it and it's a good way to try it.
We also volunteer in doing other things, like there's also henna, which is Indian tattoos, and then there's different arts and handicrafts, so like you can buy different kinds of Indian dresses.
This weekend's festival is a fundraiser. The members of the Victoria Hindu Temple trying to raise funds for a new temple. And though they're working toward an important goal, that almost seems secondary.
It is more for having people get involved in our culture more so than fundraising, so we try to put across our culture as much as we can.
We don't get a great chance here to show our Indian culture, and this is once a year that we get to do that.
And it's not only us that get to show off our Indian culture, but the people that come, they get to learn about our culture and our parents' culture and where we come from.
The underlying point of this affair is certainly to keep Indian culture alive and well within the Indian community. But beyond that, the festival is just plain awesome, and everyone, young and old, thinks so.
It's a lot of different people. It's people that don't know anything about it and people that do know some things about it, and everyone's willing to learn. It's really cool.
What's your favorite part about this festival?
All of it. And mainly to see lots of people from Victoria coming and being part of this celebration with us.
The Cultural and Arts Festival of India begins at 11 a.m. on Friday, July 1st, and continues till Sunday at 4 at the Victoria Hindu Temple in Sanishton. Admission is free. Looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it? All the action gets started July 1st, Canada Day, right here at 11 a.m. Speaking of all things wonderful, we have much more still ahead on our show tonight, including this.
Hi, I'm Chef Michael. Coming up on Island 30, we've got some soy maple glazed salmon.
You know, there's going to be lots of great food here at the Festival of India this weekend. The other place where there's always lots of great food is the Country Grocer Kitchen. Here's Chef Michael with this week's recipe.
All right, so today we're working with part of Vancouver Island's bounty. It's beautiful, natural salmon, and one of my favorite things to work with. This is a great recipe, really easy to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a soy maple glaze for this salmon. We're going to start it in the frying pan and brown the skin side, and then start glazing it and fire it under the broiler. It's going to turn out beautiful. And to get it started, we're going to start with some Canadian organic maple syrup, the real stuff, okay? Not the fake stuff, not the pretend stuff. And we're going to give a little shot of tamari soy sauce, okay? And how about a little bit of lemon juice? Well, no, let's go with lime, because that's what I got. Lime or lemon would work though. Okay, so there we go. And we've got some coriander here, some ground coriander seed, some chipotle chili powder, and some pepper. Okay, and now I'm just going to chop up some cilantro and add that into the mix, and we'll be ready to go to the pan. So I'm just giving this a rough chop. Don't need to chop it too fine. And you know, something else that would work great in this glaze is some finely chopped or minced ginger or garlic, for that matter. But we're looking pretty good so far. So why don't we head over to the pan and start cooking this up. All right, so I've got my signature preheated smoking hot pan here. See that smoke coming off my cast iron? So it's on medium heat, and I've let it warm up for a couple of minutes, and we're ready to go. So I'm just going to give it a light drizzle of oil and spread that around. Okay. And then we're ready to add a little bit of glaze. So how we're going to do this, what's going to happen is the salmon's going to start cooking on the bottom in this pan, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glaze on it and fire it underneath the broiler, and it'll finish cooking in the oven underneath the broiler. I'm going to glaze it a few times throughout the process, and that glaze will kind of caramelize up nicely and get some good flavors going, and we're going to have a beautiful piece of salmon to eat once we're finished. So carefully spread some of that glaze on. And because I've got a nice heavy-duty cast iron pan here, it's going to be hot enough to continue the cooking process from the bottom while it's in the oven. So I'm ready to fire it into my preheated broiler. All right, so I think our salmon's ready. Just going to turn off the broiler and pull it out. Oh, it's looking beautiful. I've unfortunately done a number on my frying pan here, but all in the name of good salmon. I love this cooking method. Love that glaze. Countrygrocer.com, you can find the recipe. You can make it yourself, and you can love it too.
Thanks very much, Chef Michael. A terrific recipe just in time for Canada Day tomorrow. A little bit of salmon, a little bit of maple syrup. Yum. You know, we're taking you on a little cultural journey today. We've started here at the Victoria Hindu Temple, and now we're headed to Mexico. Here's Solomon Siegel with his recipe for a brilliant margarita.
The margarita is one of these cocktails that has been, I will say, destroyed a little bit by going through one too many Slurpee machines. It should be a cocktail that should be fresh, invigorating. You should get the flavor of the tequila, because good tequila is good. It's a delicious tasting stuff. I'm using Don Julio Blanco, which has this wonderful pineapple-y, green apple, peppery kind of flavor to it that is delicious on its own and fantastic in a margarita. So I'm going to start off with 2 ounces of this lovely base. So we're going to use all of our citrus pretty much in here. So we're going to use a 1/2 ounce each of fresh squeezed orange juice. And then we've got a lime one too set up here. So we're going to do a 1/2 ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice. And then a 1/2 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon juice too. Now, you can absolutely use a orange flavored sweetener like Cointreau in this cocktail, and it would be fantastic. I like to use agave nectar because agave nectar is this wonderful alternative. You'll find it on the health food stores or in the alternatives to sugar aisle, but it also makes, it's what tequila is made from. It's the same plant. So I've mixed this half with water and half with agave syrup so that I can pour it a little bit easier. Otherwise it's a bit too thick for mixing. So a 1/2 ounce of that as well too. And then this may surprise you, but I'm going to use an egg. And not a whole egg, just the white of an egg. This is going to make the cocktail nice and frothy. I've washed this one so that we can make sure it's safe, and it's been refrigerated so it's totally safe. But you can use a little squeeze of some pasteurized egg white too. So I'm just going to crack this and just get a bit of the egg white in there. Don't even need the whole one. If I could use like for 2. Get rid of that, wash my hands. Now to get my glass ready, that's already been chilled, but I'm going to put a bit of salt just on the outside of the rim, and I'm using this nice Himalayan pink salt that actually has nice flavor. What the salt will do is wake up your taste buds. Now you can go the whole rim, or if you want to give your guests an option of how they're going to have it, you can just do a 1/2 rim like that. So I've got everything mixed up in here. Lots of ice. With margaritas, I like to give a nice hard shake because I love those chips of ice in my margarita. So most of my cocktails, you may know or may not know, I like double strain so that we don't have the pulp and chips of ice. Margaritas, I always feel like they should be a bit more rustic. So I'm going to just pour right into this glass here, let those chips of ice go in, and you see that froth? That's going to be that beautiful flavor texture on your tongue of frothiness. It's going to carry the whole drink, and that's why we put in that bit of egg white. So there's a proper margarita. Guys will like it, girls will like it. It's a margarita, everybody loves them.
Thanks very much, Solomon. Now, this used to be an old church. It was constructed in the late 1800s, long before Saanich became incorporated in the 1950s. Clearly, this an investment in the community. Speaking of investment, let's head on down to Island Savings. Now, we know how important it is to have life insurance to offer some protection to our families if anything awful happened. Colin Nickel from Island Savings, tell me now how life insurance relates to long-term care, which is something that many of us will face in our future as well.
Absolutely. So there is a growing trend at the moment with regard to the dependency. We are a growing nation, and we are an aging nation as well. So we've got to look at making sure we're providing our best protection for ourselves as we age. Now, there is a concept out there called long-term care. Now, a lot of people at the moment are faced with going into assisted living, and certainly the assisted living there's fewer beds, and the cost is actually quite astronomical. So if you haven't planned or you don't have the money to afford the $5,000, maybe $10,000 per month, depending on which place you're going into, then certainly that could be a challenge for you. Some of the government programs you may be sent to other major cities in Canada, so you may not be able to stay in the town or even with your family, so that is also a concern. And we have seen on occasions couples who have been placed in different locations, which is not ideal.
That should be awful, yeah.
So there are some insurance policies that you can get, basically call it a long-term care policy, and that would afford you the money in your when you qualify for that, to either have a nurse coming into your house and pay for the nurse, or the care to be delivered into your home, or basically to pay for you to go into assisted living, or at least help you with the cost of that. So there are some very good programs out there, and people need to really start thinking about it now to make sure that the cost is not astronomical when they are faced with this situation.
You don't want to start paying for this when you're 60.
No. So you want us to really start looking at this when you're in your 45 to 55 age band, because of course the costs are a little bit cheaper for you as well.
And this is pretty widely available. I mean, most any insurer will offer this service. What else do we need to know about it?
Well, most of the insurance companies the major insurance companies in Canada offer long-term care. So again, it's just basically coming in and speaking to an advisor who's life licensed, who basically can talk about the product, and then from there make sure you really work out how much you're going to need, because the cost of long-term care is going to rise, and as we're an aging nation, then the demand is going to be there, and of course demand drives up the price.
Absolutely.
So we need to start looking at that. But you have to also think about whether you want to go into assisted living, or whether you would prefer to have somebody come into your house and looking after you. Sometimes leaving your home if you've lived there for 30, 40 years, that's an emotional upset for you just to start with.
Right, and that's you know, we want to make sure that everything is smooth sailing at that point in our lives, don't we?
Absolutely. So again, it's one of those things we don't really like to talk about. You know, there's always death and getting old, which are two things people don't want to talk about. But the reality is you have to plan for them because they are going to happen.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks so much, Colin.
You're welcome.
Okay, we've been talking Indian food, we've been talking about margaritas from Mexico and yummy salmon. I'm still hungry. Coming up on Island 30, we'll ask Paul about Sloppy Joe's and Gordy Tupper with this.
Stacy, today we're at the RC Grill House at the airport. This is Eileen who works here, and sometimes you sing too, do you, Eileen? Sing something quick.
Summertime and the living's easy.
Wow, and they've got great food too. We'll come back and tell you more when Island 30 continues.
Now, Sloppy Joe's are kind of a mystery food. I mean, where do they come from? I mean, what exactly is it? Let's head down to the zone to find out.
So we got another question for Paul here. It's from Ben. He asks, "Hey Paul, I was enjoying some Sloppy Joe's last night and got to wondering, who was the original Joe and why is he so sloppy? Where do Sloppy Joe's get their name from?"
Great question. And it actually has to do with Ernest Hemingway is actually tied into all of this in a place that he used to go to back in the late 1940s. Interesting, author Ernest Hemingway. All right, just so happens here at The Zone, we actually have a very sophisticated, complicated, science fiction-y piece of technology called the time phone, where we can actually call back in time and ask Ernest Hemingway himself about the Sloppy Joe. So let's do that right now. Just gotta set the time circuits. Okay, just hang on and let's hear. All right, everyone hang on. We're gonna call back in time now. Wait. It worked, it worked. Okay.
Hello, this is Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, Ernest, Easy E, what's up? It's Paul Plastino calling from the year 2011. Would you mind telling that Sloppy Joe story again for me, bud?
During my time living in Key West, Florida, I frequented a bar owned by a man named Jose, which had a sloppy reputation due to the ice he used to keep the seafood cold, always melting, as well as he served a very famous loose meat sandwich, which was given the name the Sloppy Joe.
If you have a question you want Paul to answer, someone from the past to answer, give us an email at paul@thezone.fm.
Now, we're fairly close to the airport here in Saanich, but I don't see any planes. Maybe everybody at the airport's eating. Now, I know what you're thinking, that anytime you associate the two words, food and airport, you start to twitch, convulse a little bit. But Gordy Tupper tonight finds a place at the airport that's actually got good food. Gordy?
Stacy, it's true. Outside the windows of the upstairs RC Grill House, the aircraft, large and small, are coming and going at YYJ. And inside, it's a relaxed and casually elegant atmosphere. A fully licensed, full-service restaurant that puts the emphasis on fine and flavorful food. Rick is one of the owner chefs. Now, you come out to the airport and you see coffee shops and what have you around the airport. You wouldn't think that they would be run by chefs.
No.
But in fact, your menu here is a little bit different from everybody else's.
Yeah, you know, our menus, it's a little more varied, I think. We do a lot of local stuff, local seafoods, and, you know, we bounce around a lot of little farms around here, and we sort of scoop up what we can.
Some boaters are in here from the States, and
yeah,
they came all the way here for the seafood chowder.
Yeah, well, you know what? That word's out.
We're from Sacramento, and you can't get this kind of chowder in Sacramento.
Well, how much seafood can you get in Sacramento?
You can get some, but it just ain't very good.
It's a pretty casual menu. It's something that you can bring your wife into and dress up, or you can come in a pair of jeans. Yeah, come in with your buddy and have a beer and, you know, and order nachos, and it's that comfort level that we were looking for, right?
As with better eateries, the RC Grill House has a very nice wine list to complement their entrees.
We sell a lot of beer and wine, but
Yeah.
Caesars are really good too.
I love Caesars. Would you make one the way you guys do it?
Yeah.
Okay,
So we use lemon salt instead of celery salt, which is much better.
that makes sense.
And we put horseradish in it.
Whoa, wait a minute. Now, how spicy is this going to be?
Spicy as you like.
It's generally your basic Caesar with those few little extra twists that make it special, like pickled asparagus. It's the RC Grill House Caesar. And by the way, it was very good. In the kitchen, Rick was making up another house specialty, their Thai chicken salad.
So it's Tuscan mixed greens.
What's in with the greens?
This is a Thai peanut dressing that we make here in house.
Now you got a ton of ingredients that go in here.
Oh, I know. It's just it's a phenomenal salad. Bit of chicken, Thai noodles, sprouts.
Now it's getting as high as the control tower here. Holy smokes!
We sell tons of these things, and people just love them.
When it gets served to you, it makes quite the impression. There it is. Ooh, thanks, Eileen. Now, the bad news with your location is you have to walk up a big flight of stairs, but the good news, you get an elevator.
We do, I know. It's not the fastest elevator, but it's consistent, and it gets you where you got to go, right?
So it's user-friendly for everybody.
It's user-friendly, yeah.
And the view, if you like watching airplanes take off and land and make you think you're in some other holiday place.
Oh, for sure. It's a vacation of nowhere.
Well, that's it. Thanks, Rick.
Hey, no worries. Thanks, Corey.
Thanks very much, Gord. I got to go get myself a snack. That's a wrap for our show tonight. Don't forget the Festival of India right here in Saanich, starting 11 o'clock on July 1st. I'm Stacey Ross. Hope to see you there. Have a great night. We'd love to hear from you. Send us your story ideas by calling 250-480-3767 or drop us an email at island30@checknews.ca.